We're here to talk about VR, which I've heard a lot of people talk about today. So we're going to talk a little bit more about it, but I'm going to show you actually how easy it is to use. So the first thing I think is to really discuss what is VR, right? And you start with a Webster's definition because we're all familiar with that. And Webster's defines it as it's an artificial environment where you get stimuli that's provided by a computer in which your actions determine what happens in the environment. And I think that's a very important definition. Your actions determine. So you actually have to be doing something within it. So it's a little bit more than just simple passive interaction like we get with a television set. You're actually doing something and causing things to happen in that environment. Two other terms you hear all the time are AR and MR, dealing with virtual reality. A lot of people don't know what the differences are between them, and I think they're very important distinctions to know. So AR is augmented reality. So that's overlaying virtual objects into the real world. And there's a lot of examples of that. We see those examples all the time. A common one is for like Pokemon, which is a game with virtual reality to it. And we have another one, which are AR stickers, very common. You see those quite a lot. So if I actually go to my phone and I look at all of you, hi, by the way, there you are on my phone. But one of the things that I can throw on you is AR stickers. And if I go to my menu, I can do things like put a stormtrooper in the middle of you. So there you go. You got a stormtrooper on there, and I can actually have BB-8 roll onto you, right? So there's an example of AR. He's on you, actually, isn't he? He's right there. So this is you in augmented reality. You've got to say, I'm sorry, I'm going to move him over here. We'll put him over here. Well, there you go. He's on you now. There we go. But example of augmented reality, right? So you're just throwing virtual objects into the real world, into what you see. Very commonly used with a phone. You see it used in a lot of phones, but you'll see it in other things as well, other devices as well for AR. The big one, one of the big ones coming is mixed reality. So mixed reality is kind of a combination of virtual reality and augmented reality. It's virtual reality, virtual objects, but they're interacting with the real world. So a great example of that is the HoloLens. I'm sure we've all seen that commercial, where you see the real world, but you have virtual objects, much like augmented reality, except they actually know about the 3D space you're in. So they know the room you're in, they know where the people are, and if I was to put a 3D character, he could walk into this space right up here because he knows there's a space there to walk to. So it's the idea of having virtual objects interacting with the real world. That's mixed reality. So even in VR itself, there's a lot of different types of VR. First one is passive VR. I know we describe that as not VR, but many places you'll go, they'll talk about that as VR, so it's worth still discussing that as VR. You see this all the time. You can see it on YouTube right now. If you go out on YouTube, we can all ride a roller coaster and feel nauseous in 3D. Very simple to do. It's not truly VR though, because as we saw by the definition, it really has to be interactive. You have to be able to determine where you go in there in order for that to become VR. The second level is interactive, and that's really what we're going to be talking about mostly today. Interactive VR uses same sort of 360 video, pretty easy to get to, but you add interactivity to it. You add links to it, you add audios to it, you add feedback, questions, things like that. So you can actually do things and determine your path, perhaps even branch through different videos through there. And then you have advanced interactive, and that's for things like the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive. Using full handsets, full immersions. You're usually using something like Unity to create those scenes in there. It's very highly interactive, very cool, usually pretty expensive to get into, and so it's a large level. For some things, it makes absolute sense. If you were going to be trying to fly a plane, you probably want to go quite that far, but not for everything, really, advanced interactive. I think the sweet spot is really the center one, the interactive video. So, what do we hear about all the time with VR? Well, we hear a lot of myths about VR. We hear it's too hard to create all that content, 360 content. I don't have any of the tools. My camera doesn't do it that way. I don't have a way to create it. You hear that the VR goggles are too expensive. Boy, that Vive cost $800. They've come down in price, but you hear how much these things cost, and I can't buy one for every person on my team. There's no way I can do it. I can afford all that stuff. And a programming staff to implement. You know, you always hear that you have to use Unity to create these scenes and so forth. Too much. All these, I can't do it. It's not ready. It's not ready. Well, guess what? You can buy 360 cameras for $200 to $350 for almost any 360 camera out there on the market. They're cheap. They're easy. We have one over our booth right now. We're taking video right now. No problem. It's as easy to use as any camera, except that you can never be behind the camera. So you do have to get out of the scene when you're taking pictures. You can also actually create content fairly easily. If you want to render content, there's a lot of things out there to render content, to create 360 images yourself, right? So there's things you can do. Storyboard VR, Alterverse, these are all things that you can now use to create 360 content today. Not as simple as creating a video, but if you need to really, really simulate an environment, you can do it with new tools today. So, and as far as headsets, the Google Cardboard, you cannot get cheaper than that. That headset right there is $3. You can brand it yourself. We're branding them, we're giving away. Sorry, we're all out today, but we'll have more tomorrow. But you can brand them and we're giving them away in there. They're so cheap. All right, so you could buy one for every person that you're going to train. It's a nice gift to have and it's a good way to get in. Very inexpensive to get in. So that gets you past a few of the things, right? So that got us past it's too expensive, it's too hard to create. So what else do we need to do? Well, in order for it to be VR, we need a way to create interactivity within those scenes. So we have the 360 videos, we're recording them with cheap cameras, we're looking at them in cheap goggles, but how do we create interactivity? How do we show it so we can show it in our LMS? How do we load it into our LMS? It's something new, it's something different. Boy, my LMS doesn't take 360 video as one of its input types. How do you get it in there? And you have to be able to link multiple 360 videos together. So how do I get that interactivity? How do I create that kind of thing? We're all in e-learning, I think, since we're all here at the conference, so we probably have to add questions to those. So we want to be able to easily add questions into there, and most importantly, we want to track and score the results. So I want to know how my learners are using it. I want to know what they're doing inside of there. I want to know the score when they're done. I want to know how long they're in each scene. I want to know which things they clicked on when they're at scene. All important stuff to know. That's where CenarioVR comes in. So CenarioVR is a SaaS-based tool by Trivantis. We're about 2 rows back that way, straight in back of that booth, so 2 rows back. We're showing the tool today. We're currently in beta on it. It allows you to cover all of the things I just said. So with CenarioVR, you use your 360 camera to record 360 images or videos. You then take those 360 images, videos, put them in CenarioVR, and each of those is a scene. You can have as many scenes as you'd like. So we have one, for instance, on office safety. I filmed each room in our office, and then I went through and just created those as a scene. They show up as scenes within there. You then create interaction on those scenes. You do that by putting in hotspots, images, videos, audio, question cards, text, all kinds of stuff you can put on there. You can also do things like pausing the scene, playing the scenes, play the video, play the audio. You can hide and show things. These are all things we're used to doing in other authoring tools, but now you can do it within a 360 sphere in the space. So if you're needing the spatial awareness of something being behind you and having to find it, well, then you can have to turn around and find it behind you. These are all things you can now do inside of a 360 sphere. And most importantly, you can publish it out to it's not only an authoring platform, it's a delivery platform as well, so you can publish it live there. When it's live on the site, you can actually download it. We have companion apps for both iOS and Android. You can load it on there. Those apps will download the entire scenario onto your device so that it'll run smooth on your device. You can even publish it though to HTML5, Zappy, CMI5, SCORM, and to Lectora and Lectora Online. Those are all publishing options. Will allow you to publish out to those and download that piece, and so you can put it onto your LMS. So if your LMS only supports SCORM, you can support VR today with only buying a camera and some cardboard goggles. As you may expect, publishing to SCORM just allows you to track the score and completion status, because that's what SCORM gives you. But if you publish to XAPI and CMI5, you can track all navigation in the scenario. So you'll know everything that they clicked on, everything they looked at, how long they did everything, right out of the box. And so, let's take a look. Now I'm going to start this with a word of warning. I've had my Wi-Fi go out 3 times today. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so far so good. Okay, so here is CenarioVR. It is, like I said, it's a SaaS-based tool, so we're all on the web. We're running inside of Chrome right now. There's no download needed, no plugins. On the left-hand side are our scenes. So these are our scenes. So this has 4 scenes and quite a lot of objects in this one scene right here. This is a fire safety video created by our partners here in the UK, Transition. And they actually went out to the South Wales Fire Department and filmed a extrication scenario. They actually took these 2 cars and put them on top of each other. And there is some poor guy is sitting in that blue car right now, and he's laying down there waiting for the firemen to get him out of there. They're actually going to go in with the jaws of life and rip open the back of that car and actually extricate him from the scene. So the video actually goes through that, but we use a lot of different object types to kind of show you how it works. So down at the bottom here, you'll see we have all these flags that seem to be on our timeline, those are timed actions. So while you're going through this video, while this video is playing, you can have things happen as we go along. So the first timed action, I believe, is at 25 seconds. And at 25 seconds, we have many actions that are going to happen here. We're going to hide that alert, we're going to hide the lock, and we're going to show a done here. So an alert's going to pop up 25 seconds in. Okay, and it's going to be alert 1. And if we go down here and look at alert 1, he does quite a lot of things. If the Wi-Fi catches up to me, he'll do quite a lot of things. He is just an image, he is a resource image, and there it went. So okay, the Wi-Fi went, and we're back in. So one more try. It decides to pop in and out. I could pull the Steve Jobs and ask you all to turn off your phones. That might be helpful, but I'm not going to go there. So what that does, when you click on that, that actually goes through and hides the alert, shows a video, shows a close button, and we actually map a 2D video into the 3D space at that point. So we're actually mapping it to the 3D wall, and we'll get back there. All right, there it is. And we'll try one more time. There we go. So we have a series of actions that will happen. You get 6 actions on there. And what those actions are, hide, show. Okay, we're not running very fast here, but we're going to try. There we go. So he has a series of actions. He's going to hide that alert, hide the lock, show a done button. So that's kind of our progress. We have these done buttons. And then we will show a video. We actually show a video and a close button that comes up. So a lot of stuff going on there at that point in the video. So you can actually put these on anything in here. So anything can be a hotspot. Any image, anything can be a hotspot and work when you gaze at it. So, all right, we're going to cancel that. So let's try putting that in a run mode. So now we're running. We're looking at the 360 video. As you see, we can look around. The fire truck has just pulled up. While that fire truck is going on, we actually have some things behind you. So we have the look behind kind of idea, the concept where we want the user to look behind them. These stars have a few actions on them. His action goes in, he pauses the video and displays a question. The question pops up. Again, that's mapped into the 3D scene, so as you can see, it's all part of the scene. This works in VR goggles as it is, so that's not like a HTML layer going on top of it. We go in and answer the first thing the incident commander must do. Well, he needs to assess the scene. When he does that, we change that to a little correct button. He's actually giving me audio feedback right now, telling me it all worked, and then he begins to play the scene again. So we go through. Now the the commander comes up and he's assessing the scene just like he should. Now that's that alert that popped up at 25 seconds. You click the alert, shows that video. Again, that video is mapped into the 3D space. So you actually see that video in the 3D space. So if we were wearing goggles, it's all mapped onto the 3D sphere that we're in at that time. Clicking on the close will hide the video, hide the close button. It will eventually hide that alert as well. And it sets our progress up down here, and we get our progress and we show that we've done the first one down there. You can actually have that go through and show each one as we go. Pretty cool stuff. It's a great way. I actually demoed this to a group today for about 10 minutes before I found out they were from a fire company training program. It's amazing. Are they out here today? Somewhere out here? All right. So kind of funny. They didn't tell me. You know, they could have mentioned that when they were there. We did another one for office safety. And this one I actually used this 3D camera right here. And I just took it into our office. And I put it on a monopod, a little bit longer pod, but I put it about this high. And I just plopped it in every room in our office and walked around our office and plopped it in. And all I did was asked everybody to do everything normal. Now, I have to warn you, we're in a software development office, so nobody moves very much. They're all just sitting there doing this mostly, but that's what we do. And so the idea would be for a safety inspector who's searching for OSHA safety violation to come to the office and see a normal office at work and have to look around in that office and use spatial awareness to find the things that are wrong. And we did find 2 violations in our office, but we fixed them, I swear. And so here's the scene in which we were in. All right, hold on. Let's see if I can get up to that scene. Actually, this scene right here. So this scene just has a few hot spots in it. We put a normal scene. We have the video of the actual office. And like we said, as you can see, there's not a ton of motion going in the office, but that's what it looks like in a software development office during the day. There's my office right there, and there's me walking out. So yes, I did have to get some motion in there. I tried to get something going on. But first thing you're supposed to do is recognize objects in there. Hey, okay, there's a fire extinguisher. OSHA safety violation. A lot of times, that's the most prevalent safety violation. I should always check the fire extinguishers, so I know to go to that. On that scene, that's just an image scene. So this is a static image, goes in, asks you what the violation is. Does anyone know what the violation is with this fire extinguisher? That is correct. And that is a $10,000 violation, and that is exactly the scene. I didn't set that up. I now have a maintenance tag on that, I promise you, I do. But yes, the maintenance tag is missing. And so it gives me some audio feedback, which you can't hear out there, and then move me back into the scene. Okay. So it links out, back, so we're moving from scene to scene, from video to audio, throughout the office, so we can walk to different places in the office, so we can actually walk back to this cube row back here. And we can see that he definitely should not be doing that. Definitely should not be doing that. Standing up on a swivel chair, so we can select that, go in there and see, hey, what is the safety violation here? That is a significant fall hazard, without a question. So again, visual feedback, goes back and comes back. And then we have some distractors in there, some things that aren't violations and things as well, but it allows you to go through and see all the different parts of the office and do a safety check. So very simple to get in, very simple to work with. In this case, we're going into a kitchen, and as you can see, we actually have a foosball table in our kitchen. Not bad. So pretty cool application. It's the interface itself is extremely simple. It's a 3-button interface. That is the entire programmatic interface there. You just have 3 buttons to click on. When you want to add an object, click on Add an Object. There are all those type of objects that we just talked about. You can also drag or drop directly to the screen. So images, videos, just drag them, drop them on. You can drag your scenes on the left-hand side. Once you have those objects on there, creating interactivity within them is very simple. So if we have some of these links in here, so if we have this link, for instance, this electrical panel link, his properties, you just drag him on there. He's a simple object. His properties, very easy to work with. He just has which image he is, and then the actions associated with him. You also have a visibility, whether or not he shows, because you can show him by doing something else. So you might click on something else and show it on somewhere else. Simple to work with. Okay, and along with this, we have companion apps. So in order to go into VR, you want to go to your mobile device. And so doing that is as simple as showing it on your device. So we have the CenarioVR app. All right, and that app allows you to download. So once you publish, before I do that, let me quickly show you the publish screen. Jumped ahead of myself there. So when I publish, I have all of those publishing options that we talked about earlier. And if you publish to CenarioVR Live and mobile, we will also host it. So we're a delivery platform as well. So we'll host and deliver it for you. Or you can publish it to all these other downloadable options, HTML, Zappy, CMI5, and SCORM 1.2 and 2004. All viable options. Those create downloadable packages that you can import into your learning management system. If you create the HTML5 bundle, you can actually import that into your authoring tool. So if you use Lectora, or even if you use a competing one like Captivate or Storyline, you can import that HTML5 bundle in there as a web window, and you can play it inside of there. But this time we've hosted on CenarioVR Live and mobile, and once you publish, you get a published package. That published package comes over here, and we give you a QR code for that. That QR code, you just simply scan that from the mobile device, and it downloads the entire thing into our app. Then you can play it on the app, and that way you don't have to worry about delays and buttery smooth performance, because once you are in VR, you don't want to ever be waiting for something or see any lag in something. You lose the immersive content if you're lagging like that. So we give it away to download fully to the device. So once again, on the device, so let's go ahead and go into that fire safety video we were showing a moment ago. And the fire safety has an intro, and so you can use it with the gyroscope as is, so it'll work on the phone, so you can actually look around and do things on the phone and step in. And it's actually talking to me, giving me verbal instructions, and then after 4 seconds it shows the skip button pop up, and then I can skip in. And then we're back into that same scenario we looked at before with the guys popping up, and then you can go into VR mode. And in VR mode, it'll take a second to pop up there, but it's in VR mode. Come on. You can, there we are, and we're in VR mode, and we're looking around, and you have that little reticle right there, and you can actually go over and look at the different options out there, and I will look at that question up there, and you select it, and there's your question. And the answer is that one right there. And we've answered the question correctly. So Obviously in VR goggles, you'd be fully immersed in the scene in there. So, works very well. And again, those are iOS and Android apps that are available on the store. Okay. So let's go back here. All right, so when do you use VR for training? So, VR is not for everything. We talk about VR a lot. We're big fans of VR. But if you're training someone to use software on a computer, VR is probably not your choice. It's probably not the way you want to do it. So VR is for situational awareness. So if you're in security loss or loss prevention, right? So if you're teaching somebody about a store, watching somebody for a thief in a store, putting a 2D video on and telling him to look at something will not help him when the way to catch a thief is to look behind you and to hear a sound and to notice there's a sound behind you and to get you to turn around. That's when you use VR. If you're in a dangerous environment, like working on an oil rig or construction jobs, factory floors, things like that, VR is fantastic for. And you can actually take the camera and just put it on the factory floor and tell everyone to do just what they normally do. It's a great way to simulate the environment. Use the environment. It's also great for things like healthcare. So we have a lot of times for nurse training, things like that. Fantastic way to do that kind of training because you can actually put them in that room, have them recognize the different equipment that's in there, work with the equipment, select it, go to a close-up of the equipment, actually have to maybe flip a switch, do something on that equipment. All things that you can do in VR. It doesn't really do it justice to try to do it in a 2D flat scenario with some text on the side. It just doesn't work. It's like you've been there already and you've done it already. And good question is on, is VR training more effective? People are always hyped up about VR. There's really good reasons to be hyped up about VR. I've got some quotes here. It's not hard to find. They found the VR has an 80% retention rate a year after training, and traditional training has a 20% retention rate a week after training. So it's hard to compare those two numbers and how much that is. More recently, this is a study you can find on the web. Google actually ran 2 groups, and they were just training them on how to use an espresso machine. It's actually at a Starbucks. And they took a group in and they let them to use YouTube videos to train on that espresso machine. And they took another group in and let them use VR to train on it. They told both groups to take as much time as they wanted, watch the videos as much as they wanted, and then they let them loose on the machine and let them see if they create it. Well, what they found is the VR time not only learned it faster, they actually got done learning faster and went right to the machine. They kept them in separate rooms. They learned it faster, went on to it, but they actually made fewer mistakes and took less time to operate the machinery. So they actually got through it, they learned it faster and got through it faster and made less mistakes. And they actually did some VR training for gallbladder dissection, and they tested it versus conventional methods as well. And they found they did a VR group and a control group, and that VR group was 29% faster. And to me, this is most important when somebody's working on my gallbladder. They were 6 times less likely to cause an error in the procedure. So that's saying something right there. So yes, it is certainly more effective. And can VR training reduce costs? Absolutely. So in the US, there are 65,000 elderly care facilities currently. And right now, one of the things that they've been trained on is they have to do tracheal insertion training. That traditionally has been costing about $3,000 per student on average because you have to ship somebody out there, you need a lot of equipment, you need all kinds of things, so it's about $3,000. Next Galaxy is developed, actually they have finished now developing the VR software for tracheal insertion. The cost is $40 per student. So yeah, that's quite cost effective. Boeing has figured out that their productivity in VR has cut their training costs by about 75%. Boeing is one of the big users of VR training. And if you just think about it, you don't need to fly your employees out to a site or bring things into the field anymore. They can virtually take it anywhere they are. So that's CenarioVR, and we are right around the corner. We are 2 rows back, right in booth 17. Come on by. As I said, we're giving away these headsets. We're out today, but you can come by tomorrow and get those headsets and give it a try. Most importantly, we are in beta right now with this. So what does beta mean? It means it's free. So try it out. You can give it a try and let us know how you like it. Give it a try. If it applies to what you're doing, give it a try and try it out. Create stuff. We'd love to see what you're creating. We'd love to hear your feedback on it as well. The product will be out and released very soon. Thank you very much.